Hi everyone, I'm Julia Fedorova. I'm very happy to see you today. Welcome to the Sweet Art Master Kitchen Talk. And today I'm happy, I'm very proud, and I'm thrilled to introduce you my guest. She is absolutely amazing cake and cookie artist. She is a business owner, she's a teacher, she's a judge, she's a mother, she's a wife, she's a grandmother. How sweet is that? So please welcome our one and only Susan Trianos. And let me tell you, I saw tons of beautiful cakes in my life, but the most beautiful cakes were made by Susan. So before we start our conversation, as always, I would like to ask you to follow us on social media, support our YouTube channels and our websites. I added all links below. For you, it costs nothing. For us, it means a lot. So, Susan, the stage is yours.
Oh, well, thank you for all your kind words, Julia. I too love your work and find that your cakes and your flowers are some of the best that I've seen as well. And I'm really honored to be here. Hopefully, we have some people join us and ask some questions. And I'm looking forward to this because for me, this is just like coffee talk with a friend. So I'm really excited. So Julia kind of touched on who I am and what I do. And I've been in this industry professionally for 18 years this year. No, 18. What am I? 38 years. 38 years. I wish it was 18. That would mean I was a lot younger than I am. So yeah, I've been around a long time. I had my first bakery when I was 19. I've worked for Wilton Industries. I've worked for Pillsbury, General Mills. I've taught at a culinary arts college. I've been in sales, marketing, merchandising, uh, product development, kind of everything. So when you're in the industry for this long and you work corporate work as well, I've kind of touched every aspect of this industry that you could touch. Yeah, kind of feeling old now, and but it's been a great career.
I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did my homework. So I made a
I'm scared.
long, long list of questions. So let's start from scratch. So
Yeah.
when I was a beginner,
Yeah.
so I bought tons like some tools and materials, and honestly, I didn't use them.
Yeah.
So could you provide advice for beginners what they should
Sure.
buy, why they shouldn't, and about materials and tools that
Yeah.
about the in general cake decorating, especially for cookie artists?
Yeah. So it's true. When I first started, I was buying everything. I have some gem gum paste cutters that are so old. This again, it's aging me. Now they come in these pretty boxes. Mine came in like this white styrofoam case. I still have them. I wouldn't say they were a poor purchase because I still have them and I use them. But it's true. Like there's so many gadgets out there. And when I teach classes to this day, on the supply list, it will say a cookie scribe or a toothpick. You don't necessarily have to have a cookie scribe. I know they're fun. I know they're colorful and they have all different themes, but a toothpick, a pin, they all do the same thing too, right? So you don't want to go broke in the beginning. And I have to admit, I still have a problem. Like if I see a new gadget out there, there's something in me that says, I have to have it. Even though I really don't use most of it, I have I have bedrooms full of tools. I have a basement full of tools. And really, the only things I use are all contained on one of those rolling craft carts with the 3 tiers. Everything I use is on that cart. I need to have a really big sale and and donate some stuff too. But on that cart, I have my gel food coloring. Kind of no matter what you're doing, you're going to need to use gel colors. I know in the US, you guys are going to all natural colors. That's going to be a bit of a
Yes,
challenge.
we do.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge because even though my favorite pink is natural food coloring pink because it's got a very blue base. I think it's so pretty. There are some beautiful colors, but you're not going to get red, like really deep red with these natural colors. And, everyone's just going to adjust and our colors will be more pastels and muted shades. And, that'll probably be the next new trend for cookies and cakes because that's what's available. In
Yeah,
Canada,
let's see the red velvet with new colors.
right? Now, I have to say, I do have this powdered red. It's a natural red and it's intense. It is bright red. I believe it's brought in from India. Um, I can go grab it if you'd like. I think it's called Prima, Preema, and it's water soluble. So you cannot just put this powder into your icing or your royal icing, your buttercream, your cakes. You have to add water to it first to activate the color. I tried adding some oils to it, but it was not soluble in the oils. But I tell you, this red is red. And
Awesome.
so highly concentrated. Like, I think for a 1 liter, or you guys use quarts. I think a
Yeah.
quart is like a liter. You use maybe half a teaspoon to make like all this liquid color. So it's very concentrated. It's Preema. It's very inexpensive too. They have in Canada, we can get yellow, orange, red, and green. I notice in the UK, they have pink and blue and some other colors, but I have a feeling that they're not past regulatory to sell in Canada, but they're amazing colors. Just putting it out there.
Thank you for your advice. Thanks.
Yeah. So if you're looking for really, really red, this one is very red. But yeah, so I have my food colors. I have my spatulas, a nice set of paint brushes. Sugar Works has really nice food safe paint brushes. They're beautiful, and the handles are acrylic, and there's no paint on them. I don't know, Julia, if you've ever used paintbrushes that have the painted handles, and when they get wet and then you're working and the paint flakes off of
Yes.
them and they're just a disaster. So some nice paint brushes, a turntable, a nice scraper, piping bags, piping tips. I don't
What
have too much
size of
on that.
the piping bags do you prefer?
Um,
And what size do you recommend for beginners,
yeah. So
especially?
I think a nice size for beginners in piping bags, I think a 12 inch. I find a 12 inch is nice because if you're doing more delicate work and you have just a little bit of icing in there, it's not so huge that the back is flopping around. But it's big enough that if you're doing, let's say, a drip cake with rosettes and you need a decent amount of buttercream in your bag, it's big enough for that too. So I think 12 is like, for me, kind of my magic number for piping bags. Um, Types that I prefer, I do love Wilton bags. Um, As a cookie decorator, though, I tend to use those more for buttercreams. And I hate to say it because I hate waste, and I try and avoid plastic when I can. But when I'm doing cookies, I kind of like the tipless bags. I'm guilty of that. Um, Also, and I try to keep my buttercream to the reusable bags and not use them for royal icing, because no matter how well you clean them, sometimes there's like a
Yeah.
greasy residue, and you don't want to introduce the oils and the fats into your royal icing. But those, I think, are my favorites. And piping tips, I love PME. Yeah.
Uh, for beginners, what kit should they have for piping? What some stars or
Yeah. Yeah.
how
So
many?
I'm a big, like, I in my life have done a lot of piping, and I don't own every single tip because it's unnecessary, right? So for round tips, I like to have some zeros or double zeros for string work, or and a 1.2. Like the smaller tips, I like to have all of them. And then I go 3, 4. Once I get to 4, like double zero, zero, 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, I'm like, I don't care whether I'm using a 5 or a 6 or a 7 or an 8, because they're similar and the opening is bigger. And if you want something more delicate, I don't squeeze as hard. If I want it a little thicker and heavier, I squeeze a little heavier. Piping tips, or the star tip, I like a 13, an 18, a 21, number 32 I love. It's a bigger one with more, like the more teeth. It's really pretty. Rose petal tips, I like a 10, I like a 101, a 102, 104. You only need 3. Don't go, and they sell some in sets. There's going to be so many tips in that set that you're not going to use, and the sets aren't cheap. So you could buy just the container to hold them and create your own set.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So about your experience in this industry, how you started your journey?
Interesting. So when I was 6 years old, I got an Easy Bake Oven, and it was the best toy I ever had. And it came with cake mixes and all the cute little
So
things,
cute.
right? And once I used those cake mixes, I never used them again. And I would bake with my mom, and she would make a big cake or whatever she was making. And then whatever was left in the bowl, we would scrape and put in my little pans. So I learned how to bake with my mom, and not using mixes, and then using those real, like helping her, and then using what I could scrape out of the bowl for my oven. So she made the big cake, I made the little cake. And I used that thing, oh my gosh, years, probably till I was around, I don't know, 12 or 13, 12. And then I started using the big oven. And my parents were very kind and understanding. And they allowed me to make that mess in the kitchen and create, So I used to pretend I was sick so that I could stay home from school. My parents would go to work. They would come home, and the sink would be full of dishes, and there'd be eclairs on the table or cookies or whatever I created. And then I'd be on the couch exhausted because all day I was baking. When I finished high school, I always wanted to be a hairdresser too. And I think I would have been okay at that as well, as still using your hands and working with colors. But I took the summer off. I was going to go for dental hygiene in school. And at the last minute, I thought, I don't think I want to do that. But I didn't want to upset my parents, so I still applied. but I applied after the deadline so that I knew I wouldn't get accepted. But they didn't know there was a deadline, so they just thought I didn't get accepted.
So now they know.
Now they know. Now they know. So I was going through, I was looking for a summer job because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And there was an ad in the paper, cake decorators wanted, no experience necessary. And I was like, I'm going to go get this job. So I got that job. I was just turned 18, was in September. And I got hired, and I picked up very quickly. So the place that I worked, we made the little birthday cakes for McDonald's, Chuck E. Cheese, Pizza Hut, and cookies for the zoo, all different Disney. And my very first day on the job, they had us doing flooded Ronald McDonald faces with royal icing. And they gave me this piping bag of really stiff orange, reddish orange icing, the color of my shirt. And I had to pipe his hair.
First day. First day of
your stiff icing. The end of the day, my hand was so sore. Like I couldn't move it. Went to work the next day, and what did they have me doing again? More Ronald McDonald hair. But after a week, my hand adjusted and it got stronger. And my boss at the time was Jeanette McCall. She owned this company. And she, at 19 years old, when Princess Diana and Prince Charles got married, all the Commonwealth countries made a cake, for a wedding cake for Charles and Diana. And for Canada, Buckingham Palace contacted my boss when she was 19 years old and said,
wow.
She was a prodigy, amazing. And they said, for Canada, we want you to make the wedding cake. So she made this spectacular cake, huge, all fruit cake. They flew her there in a private jet. Imagine, 19 years old. She stayed in Buckingham Palace.
Wow.
Yeah, all the cakes from all the Commonwealth countries, because back it's the 80s, right? They were all white. Everything was white. Her cake she had all the, like some plaques from all the different provinces of Canada going around. So they were all colorful. She had the flower from each province, the provincial flower for each province going around the cake. So that it was colorful. Had some like regal blues. And so everybody, when it arrived, they were like, oh my gosh, like that's not customary, right? So she did a fabulous job. It was amazing.
It's amazing story.
Honestly, I've never seen, so she was my boss. I've never seen anybody do better work than her in like anywhere. She was remarkable. So I kind of picked up all what they were throwing at me at work very quickly. And she saw something in me and she said, do you really like this? Because I was doing something. I was working on the cookie decorating line, and I was supposed to be flooding cookies. But off to the side, I had some stiff icing and some piping tips, and I was practicing like shell borders and all of this stuff because they had a wedding cake department too. And she caught me. I wasn't doing my work. I was playing on the side, and I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to kill me, right? Because she was had a bad temper. And she looked and she said, do you like doing this? And I said, yeah. She says, because you're picking up very quickly. She said, every day after work, if you're interested, I'm going to stay behind. You can come to the office. And she trained me for free. Like I would punch out at 4:30. We went to the office. She taught me the most unique ways to ruffle gum paste for an orchid, like things that I don't see anybody doing still to this day. And I give her so much, I appreciate her so much because she taught me pretty much everything I know. She taught me my work ethic. She taught me that, we were doing these big sheet cakes for the Toronto orchestra, some big event. And these sheet cakes were all sectioned off into little squares, and we had to pipe chocolate music notes on every little square, every little serving. And she used to say, everyone has to look exactly the same. They have to be perfect because you don't know who's getting that piece of cake out
It's
of
absolutely.
the thousands, I so she does not do cake anymore. I think she lives in Vancouver, Canada. She ended up developing an allergy to powdered sugar, something. It was bothering her skin, so she had to stop. She ended up doing pottery, um, teapots and vases, and she was piping with the clay and modeling flowers. Beautiful stuff. And now I think she does organic seeds or something for farming. But um, Jeanette McCall, hands down, the best cake artist I've ever seen. And
Extraordinary person.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, she was very tough, but she wanted to see people grow and excel. So I really appreciate that. So that was my start.
It's ideal boss for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. She was, really tough, but wanted you to do the best that you could do. Yeah. And then I was working for her for a year, and she trained me. And at 18 years old, almost 19, I was the product development manager. So I was designing cookies for all these big companies at 18 years old, 19 years old, designing the cutters, making sure that, because they had to weigh a certain amount. So if my design was slightly under 2 ounces for the thickness they were rolling in the sheeter, I had to adjust the size, I had to adjust the design so that it would come in at 2 ounces. It was an interesting job. From there, and then Renshaw ended up buying her company. So then I worked for Renshaw for about a year. Renshaw's not in Canada anymore, but I did work for them. And then from there I I bought a bakery and had that bakery for 10 years. Very busy place. We used to do 15 wedding cakes a week and about 300 custom cakes a week. We
So
had
you were like 20 years old, owner of the bakery.
19. Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And and then about 20 feet of coolers that were cakes that people could just come in and we'd write happy birthday. We made bread, pastries, cookies, everything. Butter tarts. In the States, nobody really knows what a butter tart is. It's a Canadian treat. But yeah, it was crazy. Then from there, I worked at Wilton. So Wilton, I was sales manager, but I didn't have like any sales experience. When my lease
But you
ended,
know how
there
to use them. I
exactly.
think it's the best experience for sale person how to use properly
Exactly.
and provide the
Yep.
advice. If you show how to use it, everyone will understand and buy.
And buy it.
If the person in sale and don't
Yep.
know clue how to use it, it's the person cannot sell anything.
Oh, Sarah Myers just messaged. She's in the chat or she's watching. Hi,
Hello,
Sarah.
hello.
Yeah. So that's it, right? When after my lease was up at the bakery, I was so tired. I used to sleep there on Thursdays and Fridays. Because we in the basement we had, big bathroom with showers and everything, right? So I used to sleep there. And I was so tired and I had little kids and I went through college while I owned the bakery too. For
Oh my
interior
gosh.
design. So I was doing homework. I was so tired. So when my lease was up, I decided, you know what? I need to get a regular job with vacation, benefits, all of that. So I thought, what am I going to do? I didn't, what am I going to do? This is all I've ever done. So I contacted Wilton and I said, hello. And I used to buy their products too. They would ship them to my bakery. So I said, hi, I looking for a change. And I said, I know everything there is to know about every product you sell. And I think you should hire me. And they said, okay. So first they put me merchandising. So I used to go to Michael's stores and make sure everything was in its place. And they gave me the little gun to punch orders in to fill the shelves. And then they put me in sales. And I did pretty well. And then from there, I went to Pillsbury, which was, and I ran their test kitchen. So I reported to the US, but ran the test kitchen in Canada, if that makes sense. And Sarah worked at Pillsbury too, but I think around the same time, but in the States. Would have
So
been
there
funny if
is
we
a
crossed paths.
big difference between our recipes and your recipes?
That's a very good question. So there are differences, like, or let's take the Oreo cookie. Oreo cookie in the US and Oreo cookie in the States, same flavor profile, but in the US, more sugar. That's not a Pillsbury product, but again, so we sold the US products because I worked bakeries and food service. I didn't sell like the tubes that you break. We sold more restaurant and bakery quality, like croissants, pie and tart shells, muffin mixes, donut mixes, all those things, more industrial. And so we would bring the products in from the US and sell them here in Canada. But just to give you an example, the product list in the US for Pillsbury then, Pillsbury Bakeries and Food Service, was 300 pages of products. The products we were allowed to sell in Canada, how many pages do you think from the 300?
Like 10?
30.
Sorry.
30 pages from the because our regulatory is different. So trans fat free in the US is not trans fat free in Canada. There's traces of trans fat still, but there's a level that you have to be below to.
So you don't have lots of Crisco in Canada?
There is, but I don't think we use a lot. I mean, we use it. I have some. All I use it for is to grease my pans, or when I'm making gum paste if I need a little bit. Yeah. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just different. I'm sure there's things that we do and sell here that isn't allowed in the States. Like when you guys go to your natural food coloring, we're still going to be able to use regular food coloring here. But also there's laws with food coloring here. If you're only allowed a certain percentage in your product, whereas in the States, I think you can almost put as much as you want, right? Whereas in Canada, if you're manufacturing or selling products, you have to keep the percentage of food coloring below a certain amount legally. I mean, I'm sure people go over, but yeah. So it's going to be interesting for us in Canada because a lot of the manufacturers are not here. They're in the US. And our population is 1/10 of what the population is in the US. So these companies making food coloring in the US that are providing us color probably won't bother making the regular food coloring because our market is so small.
Yeah.
It won't be worth it for them. So even though we're allowed to use the artificial colors moving forward, we might get stuck using the natural ones too,
So
which isn't a bad thing. But
you have more products from the US than from UK, right?
from the US, yeah. Yeah. But I mean, so pro gels, that might be an option. Pro gels might become very popular here in Canada because we'll still be allowed to use the artificial ones. And that's maybe where we're going to have to get them from.
So I understand you were busy since you were 18. So how you find time to compete?
I really don't know how I had time. I also, well, Sarah Myers, because she's here, and she's like me too, a little bit of a procrastinator. So Oklahoma, all those times I went, I think 15, 16, 17, 8, 4 years I entered the last 4 years. And I showed up with just dummies with covered in fondant, and some of my flowers done, but not dusted, not assembled, and I did the work in the hotel. I would get there maybe 2-3 days before and not sleep for 2 or 3 days. Take the lamp shade off the lamp at night, because hotel rooms, there's no good light.
Yeah.
I put the lamp between my legs and the bulb right here and work around like this. But I honestly, because I was younger, I don't think I could do that today. My body is too sore. I'm too tired. So I don't compete anymore.
Do you remember the first cake competition?
Yes. So I've been doing cakes for 38 years. And back in like 2008, 2009, 2010, Food Network Challenge came on. I loved that show. And I would watch it religiously every week. I never missed it. And I used to watch and I'd go, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And I thought, how am I going to get on this show? I never got on that show. But I said to myself, how can I get recognized and known enough so that if I want to do that show, I'll be asked or they'll accept me to do the show? And I thought, I think the only way to do it is to enter competitions. So in 2010, my very first competition was in New York City. It wasn't the one that Lisa organized, Lisa Mansour. It was another organizer, and it was only for 1 year. And I think I heard there was a lot of unhappy people. People weren't getting their prizes. It was a disaster. But I entered that, and I came in first place, and then I got best in division for wedding cakes. And from there, it just kind of took off. My next competition was here in Toronto, and I did my tufted billow weave. And that kind of went viral. And after the competition, I went to go pick up my cake. Cake pickup time was 5 o'clock till 6:30 or something like that. I showed up at 5:30 and my cake was gone. Someone took it.
Wow.
One of the other competitors. So I posted online, somebody took my cake. Who does that? And it kind of the whole story exploded. I did a DVD on how to do it. And I think that's what that cake and that design was kind of what put me out there and people recognizing my name and my work. But yeah.
Do you know who stole your cake?
So I do. I do because there were two cakes there. There were only two cakes that were put on display, and they had big plexiglass covers over them. And they were two friends. And when I discovered that my cake was gone and my ribbon was on the floor and like everything, my scorecard was on the floor, they just grabbed it and took off. I was talking to a gentleman that was there. He was doing all the tables and the setup. So he was tearing down the tables. He worked for the convention center. And he goes, what's going on? I said, my cake is missing. And he said, which one was it? I said, it was, I described it. And he goes, was it right here? I said, yeah. He goes, two ladies came to pick up their cakes, the ladies that had the plexiglass, and they had a big dolly. And he said, the two with the plexiglass, and your cake was on their thing too. He goes, I even questioned them. And I said, how come you're two people, but you have three cakes? And they said, oh, it's our friend. She can't come. She's working. So she asked us to pick it up. So, so they took it. And then I found out who they were. And one of them had a shop. So this story's funny. So I thought, I'm going to go to the shop just to see. Maybe she has it on display. Maybe she has pictures of it in her book. So I went, and right away, I think she knew who I was. And it was like a cake shop / flower shop. And she was with a customer, but she was staring at me the whole time, answering the questions to the customer, but staring at me. And I said, oh, hi, I'm just here. My daughter's getting married. Can I look through your book? I was curious, right? No, you can't. I said, well, I drove a long way. I'll book an appointment. And so she let me look through her book. And I was like, okay. And her cake was in the window with the plexi. She had it on display. And it was a beautiful cake. Beautiful cake. So I left. I was with my sister-in-law at the time, and I was outside the shop, and I was texting somebody outside the shop, and I think she thought I was taking pictures of her cake. I don't know. I was texting. So she left her customer, came outside the store, and she said, don't take pictures. And she wound up and she hit my arm and sent my phone flying. And I took a deep breath because I thought, I'm going to kill this woman, right? Anyway.
It's understandable.
She said, she hit hard. Don't take pictures. I said, I paused. I took a breath. I counted to 10, and she was very short. And I leaned over her. I said, number 1, I'm not taking pictures. I'm texting. Number 2, don't ever touch me. Don't touch me again, because if you touch me again, I'm going to touch you back, and you're not going to like it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so anyway, I left, and that's the end of that story. But yeah. She did not want me there.
So speaking about competitions, I saw your cake in 2018 in Oklahoma, and when I saw it, my first thought it is a winner. So you didn't win this year.
Oh,
You win in 2016. It was 2016, and you win in 2020. You won in 2018.
I won in 2018. Yeah. My first cake was very, very soft pink, beige, and black. My second cake was 2016, was blue, and it had the gum paste, like the cathedral. Like there was a cake here and a cake here, and then like a riser, and then from the top.
No, in 2016, it was yellow cake. 2016, it was yellow.
it had yellow in it. Some of the flowers were yellow, but first one was pink, black, and beige. 2016 and 2017 were soft blue with some yellow. There was yellow in both of them, in the flowers, and lots of gold. And then the winning one was the dark blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because the first year I knew I wasn't going to win. Second and third year, I thought there's a chance. I was confident. I still did very well. I think I came in third runner up for 16 and second runner up for 17. But the last year that I won, honestly, Julia, I thought no chance. I thought no chance. I didn't win. So when they called my name, I was very shocked. But before they announced the winners, Dawn Parrott messaged me and she said, "You're winning." And then Lisa Bougea, she owns Flower Confections here in Ontario. She messaged me. She said, "You're going to win." All these people were messaging me saying, "You're going to win." And I was like, "You're crazy. No, I'm not." And they said, "You watch, you watch." So then when I won, they're like, "I told you so." But I really didn't think I did enough on that cake. There was a lot of work, but sometimes when the work is clean, and you know this too, sometimes when the work is very clean, it looks like there's not much to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
It
not
looks
enough complex. You think.
right. You think, yeah. I just felt like I should have put more on it. More on it.
How you did find the idea for your blue cake for last one?
So the year before, Carrie would always give the theme the year, like at the end of the ceremony for the following year. And the theme was, "I'm a modern classic."
Yeah.
And I thought, and right, it came to me the second she said that. When I think classic, I think Greek, like modern, like the Greek key columns. And even though they're classic and very old, I still find those designs very modern too. You know, straight lines, bold. So I said, I'm going to do a Greek cake. I'm Greek. So I did it. That cake was for my grandparents. They filmed the last year, and they did a TV show, and they interviewed me in my hotel room, and I was talking about my grandparents, and I cried then too. But it was to honor them. And yeah, right away when she said it, I thought it's going to be blue, like dark blue and white, and I want yellow, and lemons fit in perfectly. I wanted yellow. I wanted it to be Greek. And it just, I knew right away, within seconds. And then I had olives on there too. The olives were my favorite part.
So the cake were absolutely stunning, like always. So I know you now you make more cookies than cakes. Do you
Yeah,
miss cakes?
I do miss cakes. I don't miss having to stand up to ice them and bake, and because it is very hard on your body, as you know, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Rolling out fondant, kneading fondant, standing in one spot. My body is destroyed. Turning 56 in August, and I had a hip replacement 2 years ago. That's very young for a hip replacement. In October, I had my left foot completely reconstructed. My body is breaking. A lot of arthritis, a lot of pain.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. But I still do cakes once in a blue moon because I get the itch. But cookies enable me to sit down, work on something small, and I do love cookies a lot. But I have to say, last week I just bought, the frost form
Uh-huh.
thing for you pour the ganache, and I bought one because I thought this is just magic. So I want to make a cake so badly now just so that I can use it. So I think I might make something on the weekend.
So
Yeah,
you didn't use it yet.
I haven't used it yet. No.
So next time when we have the conversation,
Yeah.
I will ask you about
How it
your
went.
experience.
I was talking to Joshua John Russell a couple weeks ago, and I was ready to buy it, and he was looking at it too, and he messaged me. He's like, "What do you think about this thing? You think it works?" I go, "I have a feeling it works." So he bought it too, and I was away last week, but right before I went away, he did a video, and he sent me the video when he was unwrapping it. And when he unwrapped it, he went, "Shut up." It was a square cake. The corners, everything was perfect. So
Awesome.
I think it's going to be a good thing, a time saver and a fun toy. We're going back to the toy thing.
Yeah. So you shouldn't buy it yet, but after advice from Susan next time, maybe
Right.
you will think about.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So speaking about your experience with competitions, I know you participated in a few TV cake shows.
Yeah.
Tell us about the experience.
Oh, well, if I could sum up those shows in one word, it would be stress. They're fun. I've met some friends through doing these shows that I never would have met, that I'm still connected with. I think it's, the term trauma bonding.
Yes.
I think it's a little bit of that. It's so stressful, you think, oh, 8 hours, like I can do
In
so
our
much.
industry, it is a most usable word for our friendship.
Yeah.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, trauma bonding. So great experiences. It's nice to win a nice chunk of money always.
Of course.
Who would deny that, right? Um, but yeah, so I know there's that new cake with Duff. I forget the name of it. It premiered yesterday or the day before, and they're doing like big cakes.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in watching that one. Unfortunately, I recently got rid of my cable, so I'm going to try and figure out, what streaming thing I have to get so that I can watch that, because I don't really watch a lot of those shows anymore. I find them too scripted and too, hey, Sally, what are you doing over there? Like, not natural. So I have a hard time watching them. But this one, I only watch when I know the people. And
Yeah,
this
me
new
too.
show, I know a lot of people. So Sarah Myers, who's watching or with us right now, if she's still with us, she's on it. Timbo Sullivan, Sarah Ono Jones, Avalon Yarns, Karina McGuire. A lot of, I'm interested to see that because they're all amazing cake artists, and I'm going to see some good work.
So what is your advice for people who wanna be cake
On those
TV
shows.
stars?
Okay.
Yeah, who
So,
wanna be at the cake shows. Your
yeah.
advice from your experience.
So, my advice, there's a lot of people that want to be on these shows so badly that they kind of don't respect themselves or their craft, because these shows, they call you at the last minute. They don't give you information until the last minute. They, sometimes you're away from your home and your family for 3 to 5 weeks with no pay. We all have to kind of come together and respect ourselves a little bit more, and and make some demands, say, listen, I will come film your show, but you're going to have to give me a stipend to, because that's 3 weeks that you're not making any money at home selling cakes or cookies or whatever you're doing. You're not making any money. There's no guarantee you're going to win. You're going to go home and maybe not have rent that month or your mortgage. Like, we should all come together, but there's so many new people in the industry that want to be on these shows so badly that they're like, okay, no money, okay. And they accept maybe what they shouldn't, and then it makes it hard for people like you or Avalon or me or Sarah to do these shows, because other people will accept that kind of behavior, whereas maybe we won't. So do you know what I'm getting at? Like,
Yeah,
what I like,
understandable.
we all need to, even with pricing, plumbers, like, we're just as skilled, educated, knowledgeable as plumbers or electricians or all these trades. Baking is a trade, it's a skill, it's an art. We take classes, we learn, we study, we practice. Why aren't we making, $60 just for the consultation? Like, you know,
Would be nice.
it would be nice. It would be nice. And people are like, oh, I had somebody message me the other day. I don't really do orders anymore because I'm busy. But if I do have time, sometimes I'll take an order just to feed my soul and to make something. So I had this lady message me, and she's like, oh, I need 40 cookies for next week, right? And I said, well, I have the time, I can do it. And I said 40 cookies, and I'll package them with a bow. It's going to be $200, right? $5 a cookie. And that's what everybody pretty much charges. Even beginners are charging that.
Yes, yes.
And like, I'm pretty skilled.
And
And
the cookies from Susan Trianos is not cookies from some beginner.
I'm charging what anybody else is going to charge. And she's like, oh, no. So she didn't place the order, and I was kind of happy, right? Because, it's a lot of work. But yeah, people just won't pay. But if they, need one of the burners on their stove isn't working, they're going to pay $500, no problem. It's, I don't know.
Once I read someone from our industry did the interview, and I like this idea. Like, you're going to some bar in Manhattan and pay $20 plus taxes plus tips to some cocktail like Kalambalam. It
Yeah.
is $25.
Yeah.
And they don't want to pay for piece of cake, but we provide not piece of cake, we provide piece of art, and they just don't pay for it.
That drink took all of 30 seconds to make.
Absolutely.
That one cookie, when you factor in flooding, letting it dry, baking the cookies, going to the store and getting the ingredients, it's crazy. It's crazy. But, but yeah, those shows, just have a little bit of respect for yourself, and it's okay to set boundaries. Even if you set boundaries, it doesn't mean they're not going to pick you either. They're going to push and try and get away with what they can. So, but going back to that question, just, if you're willing and you don't mind, and maybe you don't do a lot of orders, maybe you don't work, so it's not like a loss. Maybe you're single and it's okay because you're leaving your kids. It's everybody's different. Just be sure to respect yourself and only accept what you think is right for you. That's my advice.
So again, about competitions.
Yeah.
you competed in the youth, you competed in Canada, and you have experience with UK competitions. What is
Mhm.
the difference between?
So, with competition, I mean, judging is all very similar. Um, some of the work is different, I find. Like UK, like you go to CI, there's some amazing work there in the competitions. Um, and a lot of people are coming from different countries in Europe. They're going, and so you have the US, you have Europe and the UK, and you have Canada sort of sandwiched in the middle. And design wise, work wise, um, like I find Canadians are like the baby of the US and the UK for everything, not just cakes. Like our comedy is like a mix of US and British. Our We're kind of right in the middle. And I find that with cakes too. So I find Europe, UK, I find things to be very delicate, refined, like very detail oriented. US, and I'm not saying any country or continent is better or better than the other. We're just different. US, I find bold. Everything's maybe a bit larger, uh,
Yes, everything huge.
big, bold, and that's okay. That's the aesthetic, right? Stronger colors, strength. It represents to me strong cake, strong work, strong style. Over across the pond, I find more delicate, softer colors, uh, thinner, finer things, right? And Canada, right in the middle. We're not as tiny and delicate as the UK, but we're not as bold as the US. We're right in the middle. That's what I find. We're a mix. So judging, there are some rules. Like for me, I know UK, Australia, they don't want anything extending past the board.
Yeah.
And I understand why, because you only have so much space allotted for each cake, right? It's not an aesthetic thing or a mistake. I think it's because of space to make sure the amount of cakes that come in fit on the tables. But so I get that. But I love a cake that is maybe on a pedestal and the flowers are extending off and down. I love that. Beautiful. But again, in competition, especially I think UK and there, it's like a big no-no. So, but for the most part, I think judging is very similar. For me, I think with competitions in the different countries, the main difference is uh, style, composition.
So this year, you the creative director of Canada Baking Sweets and Sweets Show, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So congrats.
Thank
And
you.
tell us about the show.
Yeah.
And does the show include cake competition?
Mm-hmm. So there is a wedding cake competition. There is a theme cake competition. I can't tell you. I can tell you what the themes are of all the competitions, but I can't.
Sorry, do you have rules already on website?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tomorrow I will add the link for the website. You can check rules
Yeah.
and be aware about.
Yeah.
So we have shortage competitions in the youth. So use this opportunity to travel to Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, look how much I've traveled. I've traveled to the US for shows and competitions so much that a lot of Americans think I'm American and not Canadian. So, I would love the support of some people from the US to come. It's not that far. Um, I was in Cincinnati last week and it only took me 7 hours to drive there. That's really not bad. So we have wedding cake, theme cake. The theme cake is Halloween. And the theme cake, you can do tiered or sculpted for the theme cake, but it has to be Halloween. The wedding cake, the theme, you have to use the color purple or teal or both of them. And there's a reason for that, but I'm not allowed to say why yet because I'm right in the middle of signing some contracts. And once the contracts are signed, I can tell why it's those colors. And then the cookie competition, there's 2D and 3D, and the theme for those is food. So you
Okay.
could do a plate with fish and chips or whatever, something food related.
So speaking about traveling,
Yeah.
I know you travel a lot with your cakes. So your advice for people who are afraid to travel with cakes and cookies. So few years ago when we had lots of cake competitions,
Yeah.
it wasn't a problem to travel. We travel from New York to Oklahoma to Miami. It
Yeah.
was no big deal. And now for people, they don't have experience and they so afraid to travel. So provide your advice and
Mhm.
kindle people to travel.
Yeah. So I traveled a lot. I prefer, when I was competing, I preferred to drive. And from Toronto to Oklahoma was like 20 hours and 22 hours if you had to stop, stop, eat, use the washroom, get gas. Um, but I still drove because I was in control. Nobody else was handling my cake. Nobody else was driving. Um, I was in control. So if something happened, it was my fault and I couldn't get upset with anybody. Um, I do know people who have flown with cakes. I know Bryson Perkins, the first year he did the Oklahoma show, he flew with his cake and he had this big modeled eagle. And the eagle, he brought it on the plane with him and they wanted to pass it through the security thing. And it was a little too tall. And he said, please, like, can't you inspect it visually? You can poke pins in it. And they said, no, we have to put it through. So they put it through and the whole thing, the top just got destroyed. I do know some people have checked cakes in, one of those cake safes with the thing that goes through, and they check it with their luggage and had no problem. Um, Cookies are very easy to compete with because cookies, you can, if they're flat, you can put them in pizza boxes, fits in the overhead, can go under your seat, no problem. Um, yeah, so I mean, there's people who, I know Liz Merrick did a video. She once shipped a really big cake freight. So it was on a skid in a box. And with freight, it's not tumbling with luggage and getting thrown around. That was an option. Jean Shopawal, um, she's shipped a lot of cakes. And, I've
Yeah,
had
she
people,
does.
yeah, I've had people um, ask me, and I don't have a lot of experience because the only thing I've traveled on a plane with was cookies. But and I just when people ask me about flying with cakes, I send them Jean's way. I send them to people that I know who've done it. I mean, Riva Reva Alexander Hawk, she tested once. She flew with a buttercream cake, real
Wow.
cake, buttercream, in the cake safe, and she checked it with her luggage, and that cake was in perfect condition when she got to the where she was going. So, and what the benefit of that is the box is clear, people can see it's a cake, so the people that are moving it aren't gonna, you know, throw it.
Yeah,
Where
I'm planning to interview her. So I would ask her about. So thank you so much
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
information.
sure, for sure.
And I would like to ask all my guests about their families. So, Susan, you are busy always. How do you manage your business? And now you're creative director of the show. So, how do you manage
The
your
word,
business
the
life, your family life, and how it's possible?
So the word family there is key. And the second you said the word family, look, my eyes are filled with tears because whew, that's my number one. My children, my grandkids, my husband, like that's number one. So I'm lucky in that I have very understanding family, but no matter what, they're always first. Like tomorrow, I'm doing a demo for Capital Confectioners. I'm going to be painting this cookie. Um, and that's, I have to prep. But my daughter texted me tonight and she said, hey, can you take Anthony for his baseball at 1:10? And I will make it work. Even though I'm busy and I have to prep, I will never say no. I do whatever I have to do to make it work because that's building memories. And I want memories of me to, once I'm gone one day, that they all have good memories of me and special things that I did with them, right? So they're number one. And I squeeze in the cookie and the cake stuff. And even if I have to pull an all nighter and have no sleep, if there's something I can do with my family, I'm going to do it. And then I just manage. I just, like I said, I won't sleep. I will compromise myself so that I can still do my work and do things with my family.
So, what do you do with your grandchildren? Like, please advise moms and grannies what they should do to kindle them, bake or decorate something sweet and simple. Just
Yeah.
not overwhelm them and enjoy the moment.
Yeah. So I have all grandsons and they have all baked with me. My eldest grandson's going to be turning 15 next week. He's not so interested anymore. But when he was little, he loved minions. So I made dough.
Who doesn't?
Right. So I would make dough, and instead of using Play Doh and making minions, we would make cookie. We would mold the eyeball and the feet, and we would mold it like Play Doh, but we would bake it. And so, fondant is like Play Doh too. My youngest grandson, he's very neat. Everything he does has to be perfect. He loves the kitchen. One day he may be a chef. I don't know. He loves it. But when he was 6 years old, 8 years old, he made really nice cookies. He doesn't like to get the icing on his fingers. He doesn't like it on the table. Like he's very neat, very clean with his work. And you would appreciate him because you're like that too. And I appreciate the way he works
Yes,
too.
absolutely.
Does beautiful stuff for his age, beautiful. And I don't, it's not a girl thing, it's not a boy thing. We can all create. And so Yeah, when I instead of Play-Doh, we used cookie dough. We baked it. I would get them to, when they came over, let's make something pretty for your mom, you know?
Yes, very
And
good idea.
say, what's your mom's favorite color? I know it. She loves pink, but let them pick, right? It's pink. Does your mom like flowers? What does your mom like? So we would create something specific for their mom. And then they felt special and they were doing something special for her and they were proud. And then mom was happy because they put all this effort in for. So, baking is almost like I express my love for people with food, you know? I cook for everybody on the holidays. To make someone feel special, I make them something. And so I try to kind of with the kids create that sense of art and giving and creating for people. My own children, I didn't do so much of that stuff with them because I was super busy when they were little. So I didn't.
I heard the grandma more nice job than the mom.
Yeah, because when you're a mom, you have to lay down
Yes,
the rules and you have to be strict and you have to. But as a grandma, you learn all those things that you, as a mother, that upset you, and every little thing you were like up. As a grandmother, and your when your kids are grown, you realize some of those things that you were so uh, strict about or bothered by didn't matter.
absolutely.
And as a grandmother, I know now what I did with my own kids that I should have just let go and
Yes, you're
not
absolutely right.
bothered with. So, it's the parents' job to be that way. But as a grandmother, you know, I mean, they can do wrong, and I will still say, hey, what are you doing? But the little things, they don't matter. It's for now, it's about building memories, right? So,
So, my last question for today.
yeah.
So, I would like to ask you about your plans. When you see yourself, like, for example, 5 years, 10 years, what is your plans for future?
Yeah. I think I'm still going to be uh, trying to give back and helping people, teaching people, um, because in my career, like I said, I've done some merchandising, product development, uh, research and development, marketing, like all of it. I have so much information that I can help people with and guide them so that they can be the next Julia Fedorova, the next Susan Trianos, the next Julia Usher. Um, and I think we're all doing that. It's not just me. Through our teaching, you through your show, Julia, uh, Usher, like all these people, they're teaching and they're giving back because we have to focus on the next generation. So
Absolutely.
I don't think I'm going anywhere. Uh, I keep saying I'm going to slow down a little bit, but then I take on something new like this. You done a show, it's a lot of work.
Or it's I think I saw the work never ends. Like,
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And I missed your show, the last show. You're doing another one?
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. So that one, I promise you, I'm going to come. I forget there was a conflict. I was somewhere, I was something. I couldn't come. But it was a success. I heard a lot of people really loved it.
Thank you so much. And using this opportunity, we ask people to come to Canada and
Yeah.
enjoy the show.
And
Again, use opportunity to show off your skills
yeah.
and put your name on the map. And
And I thank you
just
for saying that, because you as a show organizer, me as a show organizer, we can only do so much.
but without people, we are
Without people
just
competing, without people participating in classes, without people volunteering, without vendors, we can only ask so much. But if we all want something good as
we
a
should
community,
do something together.
as a
So we support
community,
our community, and please, people, support us.
as a community, only a community can make a good show. I
Absolutely.
can't make a good show if nobody's competing or nobody's, I can't do it. So we need community. We need to all come together. We need to put, differences aside and respect each other. We are all different. We all have different skills. We have to come together and be a loving community and support each other. And with that support, my show's going to be great. Your show's going to be great. Maybe some of the ones that stopped, maybe they can come back.
Yeah, because if we don't support each other, who will?
Yeah, right.
And it again, to support artists, it costs absolutely almost nothing. It's a
Not,
few dollars.
yeah,
Just for us, it means a lot. So
yeah,
I saw your list of teachers. The list just awesome, and I completely understand. Lots of YouTube channels provide free uh, classes, demos, etc. But be in class, learn, and be checked by teacher. It's
yeah.
absolutely two different things.
And
So
also some of those teachers that are doing free, like Julia Usher does free videos on YouTube all the time, but they still need to earn a living.
yeah,
So support those ones, even that if they're teaching a class and it's a paid class and you've benefited from all those videos that they've done on YouTube, take that class. Take that one paid class for all the free ones that they've given,
and
Support.
we already lost so many people. They just went to other industries just to make money, and they
Yeah.
just uh, lost interest in our industry because no one
You work
interested.
so hard, and for what, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so supporting from again, it is a, we are not asking about some big amount. We asking about attention.
Yeah.
So the for artists, it's the most about attention and community and support.
Yes. 1,000%, if that's possible. 100%. You're 100% right. And
So
I
dear people,
appreciate that, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your work, your tools. I Fantastic.
so dear viewers, support us, please. Come to Canada, compete and enjoy. And
Yes.
see you soon. With
Yes.
love, Susan and Julia.
Thank you.